Hi everyone, welcome to this edition of Guernsey's International Poetry and Plastic Arts Festival that is organized by the Association Margin for Poetry and Plastic Arts in Guernsey in Morocco from the 7th to the 21st August 2021. We would like to welcome all the poets, all the plastic arts, and all the participants in this edition. And we are looking forward to enjoying this poetry session in English. Well, now I shall give the floor to Ginny Lewis. Ginny Lewis is a poet, playwright, songwriter, and children's author. She's also a translator who who teaches poetry and verse drama at Oxford University. Ginny's recent publications are Gilgamesh Retold, which was a New Statesman Book of the Year. Ginny's further publications include Taking Mesopotamia, Oxford Poets, that was published in 2014, Singing for Inanna, Now as Then, Mesopotamia, Iraq, and the Flood. All three in English are in Arabic. Ginny's plays and poetry cycles have been performed at theatres across the UK, including at the Leicester Haymarket Theatre, the Polka Theatre, London for Children, and the Royal Festival at Festival Hall. She has published a lot. Now I give the floor to Ginny Lewis. Welcome.
Martha, Anna Saida Beacom. I'm very pleased and honoured to be with you at the Guernsey International Festival of Poetry and Plastic Arts, with its wonderful theme of creativity and intercultural communication. And I thank President Hamid very much for inviting me to be here with you. I'm going to start with a reading from one of my earliest collections, Fathom, and it's called Odysseus. As we went walking by the edge of the ocean, the river lay haphazard in the creek like an eased off dress, and the church on the headland was a prow. I felt the current running, the under movement, and the mist above it snagged by the sea's chainmail surface. And I said, if you go, your ship will be a fragment of the world cast adrift. And because we can't tell where you begin and I end, if you go, a part of me will be cast adrift from itself. But already the wind, smelling of salt and sea wrack, brought images of shoals plunging like arrows, and you needed to be there at the helm, heaving hearts of oak into the headwind, skippering forests towards the horizon. Feeling the slick of the wind, the slide of the deck, the setting out and coming back, feeling the slack ropes, smelling of tar and brine. For as much as I was in your blood, so was the roving life, the gulls' calls, the first mate's shouts, land ahoy, come about, look lively, hoist the mainsail. And the languages they sailed through that met them in succulent gusts. Ciao. Bonjour, Guten Tag. The boy heaving nets at the harbour, the cockle girl with a gleaming eye. Adios, au revoir, goodbye. My next poem is called Now as Then. Read our footprints on the long road out of Babylon. They'll tell you how the river stopped and fish became tin, how the air had a taste of marble and our lungs fought for breath as they turned to stone. How ourselves disappeared into the shadows of date palms cast in bronze on the walls of Sennacherib's palace. Still we journey, unembraceable ghosts, flying across continents, between airports, each new city a sarcophagus from which the winged genies who protect us have fled. And always the scent of cedar and cypress, boxwood and juniper, always the mayfly hovering over the water, always the mother and child leaving their country forever. This next poem is going to be my last poem today, but I hope very much to be able to join you in Morocco very soon. It's a place I love very much. And this is also about a place I also love that I've never been to, and it's called Iraq. Hamid. Basra, ancient city of parks, smelling of flowers and spices, renowned place of coffee houses, mosques, and the intricate facades of buildings of old Asha. Everywhere, water mirrors sky, kingfishers and bee-eaters dart in the shadows of date palms. Sinbad city is now populated by children, all the young men dead in the wars. Hamid, beautiful child, rises at dawn to collect scrap metal, building a new life from Pepsi cans. He says, peace is the greatest treasure we could ask for. Thank you so much. Shukran jazilan.
Now let's move to another poet. Let's move to Mike Benham. He is a poet and translator from West Yorkshire, UK, and a retired professor who specialized in English language teaching. He translated mainly from Spanish, but has started also to translate from Arabic, a language that he has studied for many years. His translations from Spanish have been published in the magazine Artura and more recently in the Artemis online database. His translations of Farashat Sauda by Abdullah Zariqa with an accompanying commentary were published this year in a poetry translation journal Transference. He is currently translating Diwan, a compilation of Zajal, written by Adil Lutfi, Atash Yarwi Sirtu, and a selection of poems by the Madrid-based Iraqi poet Abdelhadi Sadoun. From Spanish, he is currently translating a book of poems by the Valencian poet José Iniesta, Ekel Dolalos. He is also working on a translation of the Cuban José Lizmaza, Liam's long poem Para Leguar. He organized multilingual poetry nights and workshops online. He and with his collaborators are committed to the idea of multilingual poetry that crosses borders, شعر بدون حدود. So now the floor is yours, Mr. Mike Benham.
Hello, I'm Mike Baynham, poet and translator from Leeds, UK. Thank you very much for the invitation to the Gassif Festival. Ashkurukum shukran jazilan il dawa. My philosophy of poetry is that it should cross borders. Poésies sans frontières, poésies sin fronteras, sha'ar bidun hudud. Normally I write in English, of course, but sometimes in Spanish and Arabic. This is, of course, a risky business, but poetry is all about risk. So please, I ask forgiveness in advance for my poor Arabic. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and get started. The person who told me about the Gersi festival is my friend Adil Latvi, whose poetry I'm translating. So the first of my poems is dedicated to him. Gift for Adil Latvi. I read your poems with my fingers, word for word, each line a gift. Ink black, the thread whose trace I follow to the end. Hadiya. Karatu أجزالك مع أسابي كلم بكلم والبيت هدية الخيط هو حالك مثل الحبر وبهذا الأثر أتبع إلى نهايته. Now, it seems that Adil and I both share a love of the poetry and music of Bob Dylan. So my next poem is about that. Bob Dylan's 116th Dream. I dreamed I was Rambo, a scared and angry boy, locked in a cellar under the stairs as his mother wept and raved, how he raved and wept and longed for her, as he longed for his lost father's kisses, longed to discover, to break out into the world beyond, his mind fizzing with words like a firecracker, as he tried to answer her and vanished along dark and ancient paths, tracking ancient musics, traveling where reason would never follow him. How he longed to cultivate in that darkness, in the roar of freedom in his head, where words and music collide like traffic, a new reason, another dawn beyond poetry, towards which he stumbles through the African sands, wounded, gangrenous even, his love diseased, but spirit never weakening, the anger still strong, rifle losing his shoulder. I dreamed of him. I dreamed I followed him down all those drunken paths. This is another story poem reflecting one of the many crises afflicting our world. And it is so important in these contexts to try and see the world through the eyes of another person, of someone else. So this is Mohammed's story. There was this lad waiting at the bus stop, an ordinary lad, dark hair, torn jeans, backpack, a few days stubble, on his mobile, of course. He looked a little dazed, as if between two worlds, a stranger to himself. He asked me something when the next bus was due. We chatted. I asked him his name, about himself. I told him I speak a bit of his language. He was surprised. This is what he told me in English and in Arabic. My name is Mohammed. I'm 24. I came here from Syria because of the war. أنا محمد شاب من الشباب خرجت من بلادي بسبب الحرب. I left my country in violence and fear. I still do not know what I will find here. أنا محمد تركت عائلة وأصحاب جيت من سوريا بسبب الحرب. My name is Mohammed. I'm human like you. I want to live in peace like you and your children do. تركت بلادي عائلة وأصحاب أنا أمام بيتك افتح الباب. My name is Mohammed. I'm knocking at your door. I only left my country because of the war. وأشوف بفؤادي وأحس في الأحلام أفضل كتران بلادي من أعصل البلدان. My country when I close my eyes, my country when I sleep, sweeter despite its bitterness is home, the honey of your world you can keep. Okay, they like that in Egypt. I hope they'll like it in Morocco. Now, advice. This is a poem with advice to young poets. Everybody loves advice. Nobody loves to follow it. So I don't expect anybody to follow my advice. Advice. As a poet, you will always be reading to strangers, giving them back their strangeness more often than not, reminding them of something they forgot. As a poet, you will always be read by strangers. Even your mother will wonder if she ever knew you, who let your gums clamp on a tired nipple on that worn sofa. As a poet, you'll be a stranger to yourself, always half expecting the unexpected, somehow always running distractedly after thoughts that will never thank you. The following two poems are dedicated to friends. The first one, my friend Samar Shahrdad from Iran. Songbird, for Samar Shahrdad. Songbird, trapped in a golden envelope of light, I dreamed this poem for you, dreamed that bubbling nargile of your voice, singing at night outside my window. I dreamed I told you that uniquely I would record this poem for you in calligraphy. Of course, my dream lied. The pen I sought was not to hand, to catch these notes choked out of your sadness. Songbird, caught in a net of golden branches, the one that nightly you sing, sing, sing your way out of. I woke and tried to find the sheet of paper on which I had written your poem. Of course, I could not find it. So I've had to remember it, like a scripture half learnt, that came to me in a dream, but got lost in the pages of life before I could catch it. So this is for my friend Kevin Holloway, who's a poet and a carpenter, Sha'ir wa Najjar. Building the poem. How he built a poem out of wood, salvaged from the wreck of a library. How he made it strong with grooves in the right places, ready to hold his thoughts, his feelings too, and dreams. Working on the poem in the basement of his house, converted into a workshop years ago for just such a purpose. Making this poem an act of perfect happiness and absorption, occupying hours, days even. The joins once secured, he sandpapers the surface, smooths it till it's satisfied. Next, the undercoat. His ambition for the poem is that it should be white, of a fitting whiteness, to adorn the white room that contains his memories, his present life, the things he holds dear. The wood, once smooth and filled where necessary, he applies the gloss, standing the poem on newspaper to catch the drips, 4 shelves high, finished and regular as stanzas, ready to hold his books, ready both what he knows now and what he has yet to learn. The poem made of broken things now whole, against the wall of his white room, soothing his heart, ready to be admired and used, a new thing made from old, a thing of light, the bookshelves, the poem, his handiwork. And finally, a poem in Spanish, which I then translated into Arabic. Ojos abiertos, el mundo frágil como un helecho mojado en el viento del apocalipsis. Mundo nuestro, ojos abiertos, en un huracán de fuego consumido. Eyes open, the world fragile like a drenched fern in the apocalyptic wind. Our world, eyes open, consumed in a hurricane of fire. Thank you very much.
We move now to another poet, to Mohan Lal Verma. He is an Indian poet. He has got a diploma level 1st by Kenya Government on Motivational Strips, Muse 2020 Awards, Certificate of Honor by Motivational Strips, Poetic Adulation Award by Haven International, certificate by World's Famous Writers, second poet of Gamo style writing. He has been also awarded Best Teacher Award by the Directorate of Education, Bayankar in India, and other certificates. So he works as a lecturer in English in India. Now I give the floor to you. So you are welcome.
Hello friends. Namaste everybody. I am Mr. Mohan Lal Verma from Rajasthan, India. And I would like to tell you that I am a lecturer in English in Government of Rajasthan, and I have composed 2 books of poetry. First was the Songs of Humanity, that was published from Evans publication, and second was Stop Sexual Abusing. It was published from Sankalp publication, and it is available on Amazon, Flipkart, and other links also. And I've get many awards nationally and internationally. I would like to mention some of these awards. Certificate of Poetic Adulation was given by Heaven International, a poetry group, and second, Diploma First Level for Poetry by Kenya Government and Motivational Strips. Muse 2020 Awards was given by Heaven International, and I was awarded with the world's famous writer, the second poet of Gamo style writing. And in addition to it, I've got many other certificates, but they are not worth mention here. I am very grateful to Mr. Hafid Al-Matani, who invited me to take part in GRSIP's International Festival of Poetry and Plastic Arts in 12th edition. So I would like to recite a poem from my second book, Stop Sexual Abusing. Enjoy it. The title of the poem is Listen to Her Plight. A lady with tattered clothes said to me, "Oh poet, please raise your pen and tell the people my painful story in those rooms along the dark streets. I was a nurse in the hospital returning my home. Late at night, even the sounds of my own sleeper frightened me. Trembling with fear, I kept on walking in the dark street, in dark night. What could I do? I had to foster my little baby because my husband was passed away. He was only support of my little baby and my parents-in-laws. Oh poet, please stop the girls who pass through the street. There is ruined building and a wine shop near it. People at night cursed me with shabby comments. It would seem that they would gulp me. Their lusty eyes stared at me. Sometimes they followed me. I would rain, staggering, sweeted, pantry charm. Sweeted, panted, reached home. One night at 11, I was returning from my duty. One night at 11, I was returning from my duty. All around, darkness was frightening me. The owls were hooting, crickets were humming, barking dogs were floating in my mind, as if they would cut me into pieces for their dinner. A little stepping sound made me fearful and alert. Suddenly, someone covered my mouth from behind. I made effort to make me free from their clutches, but I felt as if I was trapped in a net like a bird. but I felt as if I was trapped in a net like a bird. I was helpless. I folded my hands, pleaded to leave me free, but the lust was hungry like a bloodthirsty dragon. They robbed my blossom one by one. After a while I was fainted, body was scratched and stained with blood spots. My soul left the body and watching the cruel act. Even with the fainted body, they were pacifying their lust. Even with the fainted body, they were pacifying their lust, cause they had drunk wine and lost their sense. They jumped upon me like hungry wolves. O poet, I plead you to listen to my painful shrieks and raise the voice against the darkness in the street with the wine shop and rooms where 1,000 souls are groaning and waiting for justice. I awoke and blinked my eyes again and again. I awoke and blinked my eyes again and again. The frightening scene was floating before my eyes. My ears were echoing with her painful cries. The ruins and the dark street were revolving in my mind. The ruins and the dark street were revolving in my mind. Around the wine shop I was beholding the hungry wolves in the form of lusty men at night. I took my pen and paper to tell you her plight. Let's raise our voice against this crime with full might. Let's raise our voice against this crime with full might. Thank you very much.
The last poet in this session is Rolla Pollard. Rolaport is a Greek poet, writer, translator, literary promoter, peace and environmental activist. Her work has been published in 4 poetry collections in Greek, English, and other languages. She has also published short stories and essays and participated in international poetry festivals in England, Greece, and India. She has also received international poetry awards and diplomas, and her work has been translated into 10 languages. A bilingual poet, she is on the board of directors of Africa Peace University. She believes, in fact, that people and the environment will be healed only when love and global peace prevails. I give the floor now to Rolla Pollard. You are most welcome.
Good evening from Athens, Greece. I greet all participant poets and members of the committee. I greet this Poetry and Plastic Arts Festival in Morocco, a country which I love for its wonderful people, culture and history. I also thank the festival committee and the artist Hamid for inviting me to this festival, which unites us closer to brotherhood and sisterhood for humanity, for understanding our humanity and bring us nearer to global peace. The title of the first poem I will read is My African Children. My African children, every day I know you better. I know you for million years, since birth, since I brought you up with the milk and honey of pure love on the plains of Europe, Africa. I know you for million years, since I became your mother. My African children, every day I give you birth again. in the body, in the universe of my heart. If I desert you, my children of peace and love, I will desert, I will lose my life. Since the beginning of time, I will return to the abysmal ocean and land of my soulless existence, for lack of action in the 21st century. If I neglect you, my African children, I will neglect the face of humanity to extinction. I will forget the day of creation. So I prefer, my children, to hold your arms in tears mixed with rain, and you, my life and vision. I pray and act to grow crops of food and love with your help. What did I do for you in the past? Did I forget you like silence? Now, count only on the present action. Every droplet of my thoughts, every embrace of our heart, every echo of my prayers at dawn, all tears said with each word of prayer for our world, I collect them into the light of hope like a miracle. But now be serene and full of hope. Be determined to become winners for peace, food, and love. Pilgrimage in Togetherness. This is the title of the poem. Along oceans I sail, along continents for centuries I walk, in search of a voice, in discovery of a soul, till our voices, our vision, our roots unite, to fight against the darkness of time, to dilute hate, pile up during aeons, to prevent fear from penetrating ourselves, to remove death's wings flying over us, masked as nuclear weapons. You, unknown to me then, became beneficent. Your silence, eloquent, eliminating distance of continents, till your sigh's echo broke the storm of indifference. I overcame with inner strength illness, pain, loneliness. Humanity's strength I learned from you. Along oceans I sail, along continents for centuries I walk, in search of a voice, in discovery of the soul. In the spring of courage, in search of water and food, I discovered myself in you. Within justice, give me shelter. See the starvation of our countrymen. Remind the world of what it knows. Who protects unprotected orphans? Who helps swollen bodies to soothe their angry wounds? Yet a glowing vision grows stronger by the hour. God walks on our land, stretches above the plains of our hearts. are like a giant protective screen, extended home to the horizon, narrowing the distance between divided hearts, killing the distinguished demon of poverty, exterminating all opposition against his guardian heart. Unknown to me in the past, you are one with me on this journey. Our tongues taste both vision and honey. Together we toil as saliva and tongue for humanity, until humankind discovers the land of reason and compassion. Thank you very much. Love to Morocco from Greece. Love to humanity. We cooperate for global peace. Thank you very much.